The media has grown to control the society. In television, through the internet, on cell phones, and even through the old-fashioned print media, it is everywhere in our day-to-day lives. But have we really grasped how much the media influences our lives? How much it surrounds us every day? However, the big question is, if the media controls the society, then who controls the media? You may or may not have heard the term media ownership. However, this is what we'll be mainly talking about today. Media ownership means a few corporations, also known as conglomerates, have control over the majority of the media. Most of the smaller organizations are owned by one of these conglomerates, and therefore is controlled by them. Do you know the conglomerates controlling the world today? Currently, there are 6 conglomerates that control the media: Disney, News Corporation, Time Warner, Comcast, CBS, and Viacom. Each of these conglomerates owns so many different smaller companies that the list is too long to accurately portray how much they actually control. For example, Disney owns multiple aspects of studio entertainment such as motion pictures, television stations, and internet groups. In addition, they own many different consumer products and have a wide range in parks and resorts. It almost seems as though their list never ends, as they tend to appeal to every type of audience imaginable. Along with Disney, there is also Time Warner. Time Warner owns many aspects of media. They range their television stations from Cartoon Network all the way to CNN. Additionally, they have major influence in the movie production business along with online ventures. Time Warner is a major aspect in the media world. The last example we'll give is with News Corporation. One of the major aspects of News Corp is that they own everything dealing with Fox, whether it's news, sports, movies, or internet. However, News Corp has also made its way with different programming, such as TV Guide, or even into print journalism with several types of newspapers. These corporations have surrounded us completely with their multiple forms of media. Through all of these different forms of media, conglomerates have produced cooperation between their various subsidiaries, and this is called synergy. There are 4 different types of this: cross-promotion, cross-production, cross-advertising, and blockbusters. Cross-promotion is when a conglomerate promotes their products through their own media outlets. A prime example of this is when certain television stations advertise shows that are not on the same channel. For instance, perhaps you'll be watching ABC Family when a commercial comes on for Dancing with the Stars. This wouldn't be unexpected if the show premiered on the same channel. However, Dancing with the Stars is premiered on ABC, not ABC Family. Now, this may not seem that unusual, considering both stations have ABC included in the station title. However, what about when you're watching sports on ESPN, and during the commercials, a movie is advertised for Lifetime? Now, this is strange. Why would ESPN promote for Lifetime? Perhaps Lifetime paid for advertising on a different station. Or maybe the shows are related somehow. Actually, it's because Disney owns both ESPN and Lifetime. In order to save money and promote their movie to a wider audience, they do commercials on different stations they already own, without it costing them anything. Cross-production is when a conglomerate has one original product and then produces it into several different forms. An example would be Batman. Batman originally started off as a comic book character. However, he is now seen in television shows, movies, video games, soundtracks, and so much more. This is all done through a business that has expanded their variety of products for the consumer. Cross-advertising is when an outside company wants to advertise through a conglomerate and uses all of the conglomerate's media outlets. An example would be if a company, like Taco Bell, would want to advertise through NBC Universal's media outlet Hulu. Not only is Taco Bell going to be on Hulu though, they are also going to pay to be on the rest of NBC Universal's media outlets like the Oxygen and Sci-Fi networks. With these conglomerates having so many outlets in the media, they have found multiple ways to control it. This control is mainly seen through biases, specifically talking about the bias of inclusion, revision, and omission. The bias of inclusion is referring to the news coverage that is in the interest of the parent company and focusing on the coverage of their products. Another bias is the bias of revision. This refers to the company revising information that could potentially hurt the parent company. The last bias is a bias of omission. This bias is seen through omitting information that could harm the parent company. An example of omission is when a survey was done a couple years ago to compare movie reviews between Time Warner and News Corporation. When it came time to review the ratings of Time Warner's movies, the conglomerate actually omitted all the movies they believed would have bad ratings. Because they omitted these movies, their overall ratings were scored higher, which benefited the company. However, the ratings were inaccurate due to the omission and therefore misleading to the audience. Although these biases alter how media is perceived, there are some advantages to having these conglomerates. The major beneficiaries would be those owned by the conglomerates, such as the actors, performers, or musicians. By these people being a part of one aspect of their conglomerate, they immediately have access to all areas of their conglomerate. An example would be Miley Ray Cyrus. Cyrus got her first break on the Disney Channel show Hannah Montana. She later released albums from songs on the show through Walt Disney Records. Eventually, Cyrus wanted a solo career and signed with Hollywood Records, which ironically is owned by Disney Music Group. She also did a concert film from Walt Disney Pictures, presented in Disney Digital 3D. Her first studio album was done through Hollywood Records as well. Miley also got offered to do a voice in the animated movie Bolt, which was produced by Walt Disney Animation Studios. Additionally, Miley starred in The Last Song, which was distributed by Touchstone Pictures. However, Touchstone is owned by Walt Disney Studios. Even though it seems as though Miley has had an amazing career and resume through the different aspects of media she's been involved in, the reality is she has built her career entirely through Disney. In addition to the stars, the conglomerates themselves benefit majorly from their media business. These companies have an immense amount of control over the media. They decide what they want to show, how they want to promote it, and which outlet they want to put it through. The conglomerates have extraordinary power over the media world. However, we mustn't forget about the viewers who benefit as well. The reality is, if these conglomerates didn't exist, the quality of the media would not be nearly what it is today. Because these companies are so prominent, they have the resources, funding, and ability to produce the results they have. If these were smaller organizations, there is no way we would have the outcome we have had with the media. Additionally, these conglomerates have created a global community. Lastly, they have created diversity in the types of media outlets used. Even though this is one major company, they are able to have a variety of media outlets and target a vast audience. It is true that these conglomerates benefit us. After all, our media would not be the way it is today without them. It is important to be cautious, though, with what we perceive from these conglomerates, considering the power they hold. The biases we mentioned earlier influence how we judge what comes through the media. We must keep in mind there is a slight distortion in our perception because of this. Additionally, because their power is so great, there isn't anyone to keep them in control. We must be aware of how much they affect our lives and interpret their messages appropriately. The last aspect to be contentious of is that if one area of the conglomerate fails, the rest of the company suffers too, even if it's very minor. Keep in mind these concepts whenever you start to give into the pressures and influences of the media. Every media message the audience received is made through one of these conglomerates. They control what information you get, where you get it from, and how you perceive it. It's not always necessarily a bad thing, because that's how we've adapted to our media society. But it is important to be aware of the messages they're sending and recognize that they are not always as genuine as they want you to perceive them. Media surrounds our day-to-day lives, and it's important that we have some personal control on it too. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Please take the survey by following the link posted beneath the video. Also, please comment and explain how you've become more media literate through this presentation. Thank you.